Hey everyone, Jim here, and greetings once again from Radio Wasteland Records. It is time for our weekly check into some of the new releases headed to an independent record store near you. Not the full list, of course, because there's still way too many to cover in one short video. But if you'd like to see that full list, head over to our website at radiowastelandrecords.com. From there you can peruse into the future, back into the past, or just the current stuff if you so desire. And speaking of just the current stuff, we'll put a link to just this upcoming week's in the description below so you can narrow your search down if you'd like to do that as well. But without any further ado, here are the releases we can expect for Friday, November 10th, 2023. On the new release front, we've got something from Chris Stapleton, and this album is called Higher. This is Stapleton's fifth studio album, and it is a double LP on 180-gram vinyl. The indie record store exclusive will be on opaque bone vinyl, by the way. This album will feature 14 songs, including the first single called White Horse. So again, the indie exclusive version of Chris Stapleton's Higher on opaque bone vinyl double LP will list for about $38. Unexpected, but also brand new, here's something called Sonic Mojo coming from the band Foghat. Our description says that Foghat continues to appeal to fans of all ages because their music is timeless. And so they're testing this out again with this limited edition on purple colored vinyl pressing of Sonic Mojo, listing for $34. Up next is a bunch of live albums. It's newer releases, but some older stuff, and we're kicking this part off with Jimi Hendrix live at the Hollywood Bowl from August of 1967. Our description says that this recording has never before been released or even bootlegged, and it goes on to say that it captures the Jimi Hendrix experience at a unique moment in their illustrious career. Recorded before a sold-out audience of 17,000 people, the experience overwhelmed an unsuspecting crowd with a superb show that encompassed renditions of songs by the Beatles, Dylan, Howlin' Wolf, and Muddy Waters, as well as signature songs such as Purple Haze and The Wind Cries Mary. So Jimi Hendrix Experience live at the Hollywood Bowl from August 18th of 1967 on black vinyl. Looks like it has a booklet insert as well. This one listing for about $28. A triple LP recording of the complete Full House recordings coming from Wes Montgomery. The description says that this is to celebrate the influential jazz guitarist's centennial. The complete Full House recordings brings together all of the recordings from the Full House sessions with two previously unreleased performances. This collection also has some new liner notes by music journalist Bill Makowski and was mastered from the original analog tapes. This triple LP set has been pressed on 180-gram black vinyl and will list for about $76. Live stuff also from Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show. This is Alive in America. The description says that this is a live recording from Denver, Colorado from 1976, and it features the classic band lineup with tons of Shel Silverstein material recorded in concert, including songs like Sylvia's Mother, Queen of the Silver Dollar, and of course the cover of the Rolling Stone. So Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show, Alive in America, coming on clear vinyl, this one listing for about $25. In that same vein, we have Supertramp, Alive in England. This one was recorded in London's Hammersmith Odeon in March of 1975. And it features the entire Crime of the Century album performed live, along with some tracks from the then still-to-be-recorded Crisis What Crisis. So some great Supertramp stuff recorded live in 1975. Supertramp's Alive in England on red colored vinyl, listing for about $25. Yet one more live one to kick out. This is a fun one. It's the Feelies and their Some Kinda Love, performing the music of the Velvet Underground. The description says that this is done on gray vinyl, and it features 18 classic songs from the VU catalog performed by the Feelies at their performance at White Eagle Hall in New Jersey in 2018. And of course, it includes some Velvet standards like Sweet Jane, Rock and Roll, as well as some rarely covered material like I Heard Her Calling My Name, and That's the Story of My Life. The Feelies doing the Velvet Underground on Some Kind of Love, on gray vinyl, listing for about $35. Up next, a couple of compilations, and for the first time ever, a greatest hits compilation from the band Bush. This is called Loaded, their greatest hits 1994 through 2023. It is a double LP with 21 tracks that span the band's entire catalog, featuring 7 #1 singles, plus a brand new track, Nowhere to Go But Everywhere, and a rare studio cover of the Beatles Come Together. Pressed on cloudy, clear double LP vinyl, Bush Loaded, the greatest hits, 1994 through 2023, listing for about $40. And finally, we're getting a new compilation from KC and the Sunshine Band. It's called The Best of KC and the Sunshine Band. Pretty simplistic on the description. This is a compilation by the Boogeyman and his iconic disco group. So, of course, featuring songs on there like Get Down Tonight, I'm Your Boogeyman, Shake, 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 Shake. I make sure I get them all in there. Shake Your Booty. That's the Way I Like It, of course. Boogie Shoes, and many, many more on there. So this compilation, The Best of KC and the Sunshine Band, listing for about $25. Some big Beatles stuff to talk about on the reissue front for the 11th of November. And it's hard escaping the Beatles in the news recently, especially with the release of that last Beatles song single from last week, which we didn't get to include in the show last week because there was some sketchy information on when or if the indie stores would get it in time. Here, I know we didn't get ours in time, but they're forthcoming. I know some other stores got their copies, but hopefully they'll do better with this batch of Beatles reissues. And they're a little on the hefty side, but there's some cool stuff about them. And I'm talking about the reissues of the Beatles' Blue and Red albums, the Beatles 1962 through 66 and 67 through 70, the Blue album. Let's start off with the Red one. These are now being reissued as triple LPs instead of the original double LPs, but they've also been half-speed mastered. So the Red album, 62 through 66, the 2023 edition is what they're calling this, is a landmark compilation that introduced generations of fans to one of the most storied bands in the history of music. So for its 50th anniversary, the collection has been expanded with 12 additional tracks, including for the first time some of George Harrison's earliest songs and some classic Beatles versions of R&B and rock and roll hits that were influential to the band. So the triple LP collection now contains 38 tracks, 30 of which have new mixes for 2023. The set's 12 newly added tracks are collected on the third LP, and an insert is included that contains new sleeve notes by music journalist John Harris. But this Beatles triple LP 1962 through 1966, the Red album, with that additional material listing fairly hefty at a suggested list price of $76. Much the same for the Blue album, except this one's got another added goodie on top of it. Newly remastered, much like the other one, this is a triple LP set as well. And the third LP kicks off with that brand new Now and Then song that we've been hearing so much about. So the triple LP expanded version of this now features 37 tracks, 6 of which have new mixes for 2023. The set's 9 newly added tracks are collected on the third LP, as we mentioned. It also has a new insert and sleeve notes by John Harris. So the Blue album reissue, triple LP, as well on 180-gram vinyl, much like the Red album, listing for $76. And just in case you wanted to get both of those together, we have a box set combining them. The Beatles' Red album, 62 through 66, and the Blue album, 67 through 70, the 2023 edition, exactly the same as the individual releases, but now gathered together in a box set for a total of 6 LPs. This one coming in at a list price of about $150. But you kind of get everything put together from those two individual packages. In non-Beatles related reissues, we've got a couple from the Grateful Dead. Built to Last, this was the Dead's final studio album, originally released in 1989. This one coming in at a list price of about $25. There's also a live offering called Without a Net. This one was originally released in 1990, and this, of course, being the Dead, comes in as a triple LP. List price for Without a Net, coming from the Grateful Dead, stands at $70. Onward now to some, new wave or college radio reissues. We've got a 2023 reissue of Substance from New Order. Originally released, of course, in 1987, it was the band's biggest selling album to date with over 1 million copies sold. So looking at the description, it looks like a bunch of these songs are either 2019 remasters, 2020 remasters, and a few 23 remasters in here as well. There is a black vinyl version of this, double LP, listing for about $35, and the colored vinyl coming on Blue and Red of Substance from New Order, also listing for $35. Up next, we've got a 25th anniversary of Up from REM, a double LP reissue. This was REM's 11th studio album, and this special pressing, according to our description, replicates the original package and offers some newly remastered cuts across the double LP, pressed on 180-gram black vinyl. This one listing for about $38. A 40th anniversary of Mommy's Little Monster from Social Distortion, a couple different versions of this. This, of course, the Southern California punk pioneer Social Distortion's debut album. Newly mastered from the original analog tapes and pressed onto 180-gram black vinyl, listing for about $30. There is also an indie exclusive on clear vinyl, and this one also listing for $30. We're also getting a reissue of Dead Man's Party from Oingo Boingo, this one coming on kind of a purplish pink colored vinyl. Featured, of course, in lots of movies, that song was, but this reissue coming in at a list price of $27. Next up is a new color variant pressing of Ceremony and Devotion from The Ghost. This was the Grammy award-winning band's live album, Ceremony and Devotion, recorded during their critically exalted Pope Star tour during the summer of 2017. So this pressing is called New Twilight and appears to be on kind of a purplish swirl vinyl. List price for The Ghost, Ceremony and Devotion looks to be about $35. Getting another reissue of Dead Again from Type O Negative, speaking of Ghost, this one on what's being called Ghostly Green Vinyl. This was the 7th and final studio album from the New York metal legends Type O Negative, originally released in 2007. So again, this is coming on Ghostly Green Vinyl Double LP, Dead Again by Type O Negative. List price coming in at $38. Five Finger Death Punch is up next with their F8. Actually, it's pronounced Fate if you think about that. It's kind of clever. But Fate by Five Finger Death Punch being reissued. This one was originally released in 2020. And it was the 8th studio album from Five Finger. Our description says that this is a double LP on gold vinyl and will list for about $36. And then finally today, we've got a couple of reissues from the artist Milky Chance. We've got Trip Tape 1 and, of course, Trip Tape 2, both on different colored vinyl. Both of these from the German alternative superstar duo Milky Chance. Trip Tape 1 coming on a blue splattered vinyl limited edition, listing for about $27. And Trip Tape 2 is, I'm saying that very carefully, this one coming on green splattered vinyl and listing also for about $27. And that is a quick check of some of the new releases headed to an independent record store near you for Friday, the 11th of November, 2023. If you're local here to our little Radio Wasteland universe in Midland, Michigan, and you'd like to place a pre-order, just contact us here at the store and we can take care of you. If you're not local but still would like to take part, head over to our website at radiowastelandrecords.com. And once again, if you'd like to see just the stuff for the 11th, look in the description below for a link to all of just that particular week's releases. So until next time, this has been Jim from Radio Wasteland Records. Thanks a lot for being here.